Good morning, everybody, and welcome. Thank you for joining us for our Three Wives Empowering Lives. We're so happy that you could be here, whether you're joining us live or you're catching the recording. We're just so happy that you're here. And this week we are touching on something that's super passionate for all of us and just something that we as a family love to do, and that is travel hacks travel hacks. And we are going to be dividing it into three different portions. And just being able to give you guys just some secret weapons, some tools, and just that you can take with you on the road or via airplane or whatever your travels look like, international, and just being able to hack into those and just give yourself a little bit of a boost to be able to keep your holistic lifestyle at, easy to be able to keep it going and keep those tips on hand. So with that, I do want to also, just so we go over this every single time, is we do not treat, diagnose, or cure anything. We're simply moms that are just sharing some tips that work for us personally. And if you have questions, feel free, if you're on live, to go in the comments and comment on there. We'll touch those at the end. And if you're catching the recording, you can reach out to the person that plugged you into this forum, and we will be able to get those the answers into your hands. So with that, I am going to pass it over to the beautiful Brittany and have her touch on her traveling hacks, I don't know why I keep saying that, her traveling hacks on being able to travel on the road. So Britt, what were your top three takeaways with that?
Awesome. Thank you for that intro, Beck. And we're excited to have you guys on. I think that every single mom and every single parent struggles with this, and maybe it's not something that they talk about with their friends a lot, but in our society, we're on the go a lot, and that makes it more challenging to live a non-toxic life and to also make sure that we are not, feeding our children junk in those moments where we're really, really busy. And so I want you to know, that everything that we share on these calls is not from a place of judgment, but it's just from a place of empowerment and love, because we've all been in those moments of stress, and we've all been in those moments of chaos where we're like, well, what are we going to feed our kids? Our kids are hungry. We're out on the road. What do we do? And so I'm just going to share what's worked really well for our family. And it's basically starts with just a standard. So we have a standard that we don't do drive-through fast food. We don't do fast food. My kids have never been to McDonald's. They've never been to Taco Bell. They've never, had those types of products in their body. And so that's just a standard that we've chosen to take. Now, it doesn't mean that we're not on the road a lot. It doesn't mean that we're not in the car traveling to dance and activities and road trips and whatever it is that we might be doing. But because I have that standard, I don't give myself an out. And so I've created habits and situations that support that standard in our life, that we just don't do that. And so we have a variety of tips and tools that we utilize, but I am like the snack mom queen. Like my kids, I don't know if you guys can relate to this, but my kids are always eating. They are ravenous little creatures, and they could eat all day. If I allowed them to eat all day, they probably would. And so they have very fast metabolisms. And so I'm always trying to find quick, healthy snacks that can be thrown in my purse, that can be thrown in a bag. We almost always have a snack bag in our car. And when I'm talking about, we're talking about travel tips, this is even taking your kids to drop them off for sports and then sitting there for 2 hours or whatever it is that you're doing. Most of the time you're going to have another child that's hungry, and you're going to get somewhere, and the choices that are going to be there are probably not in alignment with your non-toxic living habits that you're trying to maintain. So what I want to encourage you to do is to set those boundaries and standards ahead of time before you leave the house. Does that take a little bit more time and effort? Yes, it does. But as you get better at it, just like with any habit, you're going to identify ways to have those hacks. So one of the quickest, easiest snacks that we do a lot, that I have kind of pre-prepped and pre-made just in my fridge, is we'll do little carrots, cut up carrots from the farm stand, and we'll also do cut up cucumbers. Both of those veggies, my kids love those veggies and they can munch on them. We're also huge on just having apples. I almost always have an apple in my purse, just floating around. And then we also love using our powdered greens on the go and our powdered hydrate. So I don't allow my kids to drink drinks like Gatorade and really sugary, sports drinks, especially if they're going to an activity somewhere. So we have these little sticks, and I meant to grab one from my kitchen. I'll grab one when the ladies are talking and then show you guys at the end. But we love these little hydrate sticks, and they're great to go in your purse. They're great to go in a dance bag or a sports bag, and you can add them into water, and it's a healthy electrolyte mineral replacement without all the junk. It's not like a Gatorade or a Propel. We're not bashing other companies on here, but we're just giving you tools and tips to maintain. So I always like to pre-plan snacks. So if I know the night before that we're going to be in the car for a couple hours, or we've got, you know, back-to-back activities, I'm going to kind of sort out what snacks I'm going to take. And we might have like organic pretzels, and we might have some little crackers or things like that with those veggies. But I always try to do like a veggie and a fruit that's something that they can eat easily in the car, that's also not going to create like a giant mess. And then we always have our go-to water bottles. Now, I know this sounds really silly and simple, but you guys, if you are spending money on plastic water bottles every time you go out, it's so expensive to buy water bottles out at little concession stands. Or, you know, my daughter just had her dance performance, and they were selling like these little bottles for $5. So if you're trying to save money and you're really committed to living an organic, non-toxic life, which takes finances, then I encourage you to just invest in your own travel water bottle and have each of your kids have one. I know that Becca's huge on this too, like the swell bottles and things like that. So we always have our water, because the minute my kids get in the car, two things happen. They're hungry and they're thirsty, right? Those are like always the things. And so if you plan ahead and you have your water and you have your snacks, then you don't find yourself in that space of chaos of like, what are we going to do? My kids are starving. Well, I guess I'll just go through the drive-thru. And I have a lot of moms that ask me, how have you never done that? But it's just because it's a standard that we've set. And so I just want to encourage you to kind of look at where you're at right now in your life and just say, okay, is this habit that we're doing, is this fast food eating, or you know, stopping at the vending machine, or whatever it is this in alignment with where we want to go with our health as a family? And if the answer is no, then it's a great time to check in and figure out some tips to change that. Now, are there exceptions to the rules? Of course, absolutely. We just had a situation earlier this week where we were actually at the ER with my niece, and my little guy was there, and because it was an emergency situation, I had no snacks on me, because we literally just flung in the car to go help my cousin. And there was a vending machine, and my son, my 3-year-old, was like, I'm so hungry, I'm so hungry, I'm so hungry. So I went over to the vending machine, and I found the one non-GMO labeled snack that was there. It was like a bag of potato chips, and that's what I allowed him to eat in that moment. Like, I didn't let him have the Cheetos or whatever else, the other toxic crackers that were in there. I chose the healthiest option in that situation. Now, is life always going to be perfect? No, you're going to be thrown curveballs and things are going to come up. But again, if you have that standard of health, I wasn't willing to sacrifice like all my principles in that moment. I just was willing to go, okay, I don't have any other of my healthier snacks on me. I'm just going to let him have this bag of non-GMO chips. So for some of you, that might sound really strict, like super crazy. Like, I can't believe you would even care thinking about that. But again, it's a standard, and it's just so programmed into my mind that I don't question it. So for you guys, as you're taking your road trips for the summer, I mean, summer is a crazier time with kids, and you might be traveling a lot in the car. I really encourage you to always check the night before. Okay, what snacks do I have on hand that the kids could benefit from? And do I have my waters ready? And if you know you're going to be out for a long period of time, you're going on a long road trip, you can stop at convenience stores and find healthy options. They always have apples and bananas. They always have nuts. They always have some sort of like organic granola bar that you can find. You might have to look around a little bit, but those options really are pretty much everywhere now. And I always like to challenge people, like, go into a Walmart, go into a convenience store, and see if you can find the healthiest thing that you can buy in that moment. And that's the best you can do. And so that's really what living a non-toxic lifestyle is about, is that it's just making those intuitive reactions to the curveballs that life might throw you. So those are my tips just for being on the road: is plan ahead, have your water, have your snacks, and know that it's not going to always be perfect. But if you just give yourself that little extra bit of time and space, it'll be worth it in the long run. So that's all I have for you guys. I'm going to throw it over to Deb, and she's going to talk about some amazing travel tips as well. So Deb, what do you got for us?
Okay. Oh my gosh, that was such goodness, Britt. And I have taken on so many sort of fun little facts about that too. And it was funny when you were talking about your vending machine. experience, because I'm thinking, well, of course you went with a non-GMO option. What else would you do? So this is my sister from another mister speaking. I know what she's going to say before she says it, which is kind of scary. So I am going to be covering you guys travel hacks with regards to, I do a lot of flying. We take a lot of, I world school the kids. So it's very important to me that they see the world. Becca can relate to this too. Brittany's traveling everywhere. So we're really big on that experience and on that world travel. With all of that said, though, you do not want to let your healthy lifestyle go by the wayside just because you're traveling and you're in airports and you're stuck on an airplane for what can be, 4 hours, 8 hours. We've done a lot of back and forth. We were in California 3 times last year. We live on the East Coast, so there's a lot of flying involved. As a result of that, it requires a lot of planning ahead. And Brittany had touched on this with regards to road trips, but I want you to think about it from an airport perspective. Planning ahead when you are traveling to an entirely new location is important because you're saving money on questionable airport food. I do find, as a side note, that there is a lot more grace when it comes to healthy options. There's a lot more to choose from, I feel like, with airports. And I've noticed that a lot in the last, I would say, year or so, where I can find a lot more non-GMO options. The challenge with that is that you're spending a lot more money. Now, if you're looking at a budget to travel with, you're kind of digging into a budget that you otherwise, with planning ahead, you don't have to get into. So think about planning ahead. Jamie and I, whenever we travel together, you guys, it can be to Atlanta, it can be to Naples, Florida, it can be to California. We have already scoped out the local farmers markets, the local Whole Foods, how far are we staying from the Whole Foods, and we automatically plug that in as our first stop as soon as we leave the airport, so that we can go there, get some healthy options, stock up on kombucha, stock up on healthy options for the kids, some healthy produce, and that way we know at least we're covered. And then we'll bring our insulated travel bag with us so that we can just throw a lot of the cold items in there until we make it to the hotel. And of course, at the hotel, we're making sure that we can have a refrigerator, and they generally do that at no cost. So planning ahead is super important. The other thing to consider when you're flying by plane is that your liquids, 3 ounces or more, or I should say, 3 ounces or less are what you're able to bring on the plane with you. So you can pack fluids that are more than that, but in terms of getting through security and getting them onto the airport, you have to stick with 3 ounces or less. So what we do as a result is couple things. You can kind of see, like, we just get a bunch of storage bags and always make sure that they're on hand when we travel. And we've got a couple things that we do. We're going to pull together our own trail mix for the kids. So we'll throw in some raw nuts, we'll throw in cashews, pistachios, macadamia nuts, we'll throw in different types of, we might throw in, like, if they've been really good, we might throw in like little organic chocolate drops, like the little sun drop chocolate drops. And we'll find ways to be able to make that fun. Each of our children will have their own storage bag. So they'll have their bag that's already prepped out with a little bag of trail mix. They're going to have a little applesauce in there. Those are generally 3 ounces or less. They'll have a piece of fruit. I've got 2 of my guys love just these little organic grass-fed beef jerkies. So we'll throw those in there as well. And we'll present it to them. So it's like a big unveiling. The morning before we travel, we'll present them with their own little bag filled with the things that they really love, and just making sure that everything there, again, is 3 ounces or less. Another thing that we find very important is making sure, you guys are going to probably think I'm crazy here, but there's a couple pieces of food that I do not travel without. One is a lemon, right? Why a lemon? Because a lemon can be used to spice up your water. We always bring a water bottle with us that is empty. Brittany had kind of talked about that as well. This one has water in it for my water for this morning, but we just bring a couple of empty water bottles. You cannot get through security with them, so we bring them empty and then we fill them up once we're in the airport. So the lemon can just be squeezed into there. We also use it just if we want to add lemon zest while we travel. We do a lot of cooking and generally try to get places that have some sort of kitchenette oftentimes when we travel. The other thing I do is travel with an avocado. Again, people think I'm crazy, but you cut this up. If you're questioning the quality of a salad that you're eating out, you dump a little organic avocado onto it, and it's a game changer. So an avocado is something that I always travel with for healthy fats. And then I've got 2 things that I will not travel with, or that I will not travel without, that are both less than 3 ounces, and that are my e-shots. Mama's not going anywhere without my e-shots. I'm just not. 3 different flavors. We've talked about these in previous episodes. If you have no idea what I'm talking about, you're totally missing out. You've got to go back and look at our previous webcast, because this is literally a game changer in life. So these are loaded with adaptogens. They're phenomenal for travel because it kind of helps to prevent you from being groggy. You take one mid-flight, take one right before you're ready to get off the flight. You're bombarded with your kids again, right? We all know how that goes, and eShot can help with that. And then I'm still cleansing when I travel. So I'm throwing a bunch of my 2-ounce Cleanse for Lives in the bag. I might take that the night, at night before I go to bed if I'm not doing a deep cleanse. But those are all less than 3 ounces. So even if you're doing a weekend getaway and you only have a carry-on, totally great option. And then other things are the little chocolates. So each of the kids get a few of these in their bag. And then I'm going to put these in mine and Jamie's bag as well. So we've also got, I won't get into detail here, but we also travel with our supplements. So we've always got our accelerator. We've got for the kids their probiotics. We've got our IsoFlush, because even if you do have to compromise a little bit when you travel with food, you're eating things that you're not normally used to or in places that you're not used to. You've got the bentonite clay that's going to help with the IsoFlush at night and just help to be able to give you just that optimal health feeling even while you travel. You're not totally boggled down. One other thing I want to talk about with regards to food, and I don't mean to state the obvious. If you guys could see my desk right now, it's really a sight to see. Our full meal replacements come in these individual packets. So you can travel through security with these. You can throw them. They're so light. They're so easy. And then all you're doing is mixing it with water. So you're talking about a full meal replacement, you guys, for less than $3. And then I am bringing my handy dandy Pro Mix, which if you don't have one, girls, you need to get this. It's amazing. You plug it in with the USB port. Well, you don't have to plug it in. It works on battery, but you can charge it with the little USB charger there. This top part comes off so that you can put your powder in it. With our shakes, you don't usually have to worry about that though. And then there's a little button at the bottom that you push that automatically blends the shake. So you can bring that, throw it in your carry-on. You've got your blender ready to roll for your shake, or you can travel. The lid on my shake that I'm drinking is missing, but you can just throw a blender bottle in your bag and you're ready to roll. And this literally, I think more than anything, is my #1 go-to when I travel. I can't live without it. So I talked about the food and the chemical part of optimal health. The other 2 things I want you guys to consider, and I'm not going to go too much into detail with these, are, and we've talked about this from the beginning, I want you to view your health not just from a food and nutrition and chemical perspective, but I also want you to look at the emotional and spiritual health. And I want you to look at the physical health. So don't let those go by the wayside just because you're out of your rhythm and out of your routine and you're traveling. I think it's super important for emotional health to make sure that you're stocking up on a couple good books. For me, that means that I'm bringing my daily devotional. It's a little heavy, I'm not gonna lie, but my Jesus Calling makes it with me wherever I travel, just to make sure that I'm plugged in. And I think that once I can do that, I'm reading it on the plane. I'm not necessarily doing a page a day because, there's times where I want to just be filled and I'll do a few pages at a time. But I would definitely choose a couple books that are important to you. And then here's another one that I love. I'm in the middle of it right now. God is my CEO. Whatever that looks like to you, whatever your personal belief system is, find a couple of inspirational books that will plug into your emotional health, specifically when you're traveling. And then the last thing to consider is physical health. Sometimes it is hard because we're out of our gym routine or out of our yoga routine or whatever that looks like. So one thing that I love that you can literally just throw into your purse are these booty bands. You can get them anywhere. I got these at Target, but these are made by the sisters, Karina and Katrina. But these booty bands, you can use them for arm resistance as well, but it just helps you to be able to tone up. Brittany, guys, the girls are sitting there with the biggest, I can't even.
It's so
Aren't these brilliant though?
I want to live in your suitcase. That's why I'm laughing, because it's so amazing.
You need
it's
to
like Mary Poppins.
It's totally. But everything is very strategic.
I love it.
Mary Poppins, and it's organized, and I love it.
But side note, my kids love this too. So they'll have booty band competitions, and they'll put one on each of their legs, and you can actually get a really relatively good workout. You can do it at the beach. You can do it inside. So those are super brilliant, and I travel with those as well. And then the last thing that that will always make it into our travel repertoire here are oils. And the two that I really love the most are Defense Shield. This is going to be help. This is a blend that we do with Isogenics, but this is going to help with overall immunity. You can actually put it in your, you can drink this, you can rub it on, and you can put it just on your temples. And that's going to help, especially with like airport stress and overall immunity. It's just going to help boost that. The other one that I travel with is the lemon oil. Now, if you, right, you could kind of do one or the other, but I would say bring the lemon still. You can put that in your water, use that in your food, and then also bring the lemon oil. You can add a dash of that into the water. The kids love this as well. And that's going to also help with overall immunity and help with overall just uplifting of your spirit, because let's face it, travel can be stressful. So with all of that, I am going to pass it over to my girl that I just love you so much, to Becca. And Becca is going to talk about something that I literally have like no travel hack for that I could come up with, because I'm the furthest thing there is from the camping. But listen, she's going to inspire all of you, and she's going to inspire me to want to set up a camping road trip. So Becca, take it away.
Oh, I love all those tips you girls gave. Just awesome and so versatile and easy to implement. Like, they're great tips. I learned a lot from you guys, so I love that. So thank you. And yes, camping is something that my family and I just love doing. We have a little pop-up trailer. We just love taking it off the road. And we're actually right now planning another month-long road trip. And there's a lot that goes into it. Like Deborah said and Britt said, being prepared and being organized up front is key. So kind of planning out your meal, kind of having an idea in your head of what you want it to look like. Of course, there's balance, so don't take it away as us being all perfect and having all our ducks in a row, because there's clearly going to be, we have kids. We each have 3 kids, so 9 kids between all 3 of us. So take what you want from what we're sharing and make it your own, and add things that might work better for your family, that might not be something that we personally do and might be best for you. So for us personally, we have a fridge in our trailer, but most of the time our fridge doesn't work because we don't do hookups. We typically go off the grid, so we don't do campsites with hookups, which means we don't get electricity. So I love that Deb shared that blender, because I've been on the hunt for a blender that actually I don't have to turn my van on, because we have a van that I just turn it on and then I plug in our blender via that if our electric's not on. So I'm going to look up that Pro Mix one. But we always take our shakes just because it's a no-brainer. Like the girl said, it's just easy nutrition to have on the go. You mix it with purified water and it's bam, it's done. But when we're camping, in addition to our shakes, one thing that my kids absolutely love to have, and it's super easy to do, you plan it in advance and you just line up your whole countertop with all your mason jars, is overnight oats. That is just something that's so easy. They're delicious and it's packed full of nutrition. You can add in your shake powder to that to add some extra protein, which is what we do. Typically we'll add just the vanilla because it's just an easy, versatile flavor. But our favorite overnight oats is it's called Chunky Monkey. So you're adding almond peanut butter, or almond butter, not almond peanut butter. Almond butter, you can do peanut butter if you prefer. We just prefer almond butter. We get those little, the little Enjoy chips. They're little chocolate chips. They're organic and they're little tiny mini ones. So a little goes a long way. We pop those in there. You have oatmeal. You add whatever dairy you want. We personally use Ripple. It's a pea protein. And the nice thing is that you want them to be shaken up. So once they're thrown in the cooler, it doesn't matter if they're being shaken up because they taste better the more that they're mixed. So that's really easy for us just to have on the go. Another thing, like Britt was sharing and Deb shared, is having hydrate on hand, because for us, we're water drinkers. And I love that Deb takes Britt's holding up for hydrate. I love that Deb takes her lemon everywhere with us, because typically when we go in our trailer, I'll just get like a basket and I throw all of our fruit in there. I throw avocados and I throw lemons in there. So I love that, but I've never taken a lemon on an airplane. So I love that. I'm going to throw that in my backpack now. And then something that personally I just have found, my kids are older now, so that's easy for them to kind of own their snack packs. So we have a big basket we keep in our car that have a bunch of different snacks. And we do a lot of fruits and veggies. We take coolers. We were just down in Ojai over the weekend, and we kind of prepare it the night before if we're doing like a shorter road trip. And I just cut up the fruit, throw them in the glass jars, throw those in the cooler. And then in our van, we have one of those, I think it's that Bag 31 brand or whatever that bag company is. And it sits in between our 2 captain chairs in the back. And it's got all just like easy grab and go things that are non-perishable. So there's hemp seed bars in there. We like vegan Robs. These are not, I wouldn't say they're healthy. I mean, they're cleaner alternatives, but they're not something that are going to keep you feeling great, but they're great just to have on the go that are an alternative to a bag of Cheetos or whatever. So that's something that we personally do, is have that in addition to, for our travels with our camping trailer, we have the cooler packed with the water, and then we have the hydrate. We have shake options, and then we do a lot of veggies like Britt and Deb share. We cut up the carrots, the apples, the strawberries, and then we have a fruit basket we keep in the trailer. Once the ones that are already pre-cut are used up, we can just cut fresh ones. And then something else that we love to do is make protein balls. And I don't know if those of you that are tuning in have ever made them, but they're super delicious and they're packed full of nutrients. It's like it tastes like cookie dough. So we call them, it's like my kids' cookies. And they go really, really fast. So I have to cut my kids off after a few of them each because they are so good. But I don't feel guilty about it because they're packed with nutrients. So it's got coconut oil, almond butter, oatmeal. It's got the superfood shake. I'll add a little bit of those Enjoy chips in there as well, but I don't feel bad about it. It's like so minimal in there, and that's the only added sugar. And then honey is the binding factor. So those are just our go-to. They're delicious. They keep my kids feeling satisfied and full. And another thing we love to have is our Isogenics, the protein bars. So those are another thing that we don't use them. They are a meal replacement. We don't personally use them for that. We typically will cut them into thirds and have them as snacks while we're hiking. We do a lot of hiking and just kind of off-roading stuff, whether it's mountain biking or whatever. And those are just easy to throw in our packs. And because like my kids, I was saying, they're older now, one thing that we've personally found that works best is for them to they each have their own fanny pack. So they're responsible to refilling that. We were at Disneyland for 3 days a few weeks ago. They each had a fanny pack. They were responsible for filling it. My 5-year-old is responsible for it. She can do it. If she has questions, she can ask me. But that way they have their own snacks, and I'm not being bombarded every 5 seconds for me to open my backpack and give them snacks. So that's just something that works for us, and maybe there's something else that might work better. And I would love to hear extra tips because I feel like as my kids are growing older, I'm learning more things that makes them a little bit more independent and all of that. So those are our biggest takeaways that I would say that work the best for our family. Obviously we take a lot of sandwich stuff, whether it be peanut butter and honey, or if we don't do a lot of sandwich meat, but we'll have some sandwich meat. But we also just like taking hummus, and we'll just load up sandwiches with hummus and lettuce and cucumbers and just make it, kind of like a veggie sandwich. And then like Deb was mentioning, our medicine cabinet is our oils. And I always take those camping because they're really, really helpful for bug sprays. You can make your own little sprays to keep bugs away. We learned the hard way. Gosh, it was one of our first camping trips, probably like 2.5 years ago. And my son and I, for some reason, are targets for mosquitoes. And so what I learned is to take the oils and I just spray it on our beds and in the sleeping bags and pillows before, like when we set up camp, I spray it in there. That way bugs are not attracted into there. My daughters don't seem to get bit as much, neither does my husband, but I still kind of like douse the whole trailer just to make sure no bugs come in there. And they're all essential oils. So they're not toxic. You're not having the DEET. And I actually was just reading an article. I think it's the eucalyptus oil that is more effective than DEET that they've proven. So those are just great go-tos. And I do not know my recipe offhand. I actually got it from another friend that makes the little sprays, but if you're interested in learning the mosquito and bug spray, I can get that in your hands as well. And I'm pretty consistent every time we travel. I'm sharing, I show you guys, I did a video right before Disneyland of kind of what I had spread all over our counters before I packed up all the bags. Dried fruit is another thing we do a lot of. I don't get Trader Joe's because they add a lot of sugar to their dried fruit. So I actually go to either Lassen's or Grocery Outlet, and they have really, really good organic mango that doesn't have the sugar added, or the pineapple. And they're just so easy and so delicious. And I feel like it's easier than taking a mango because the mangoes go bad. So that's just something that we personally do a lot of. I'm trying to see if there's anything else. Like Deb was talking about, making sure your mental health, your physical health. We do a lot of hiking and we do a lot of biking. And I just really try to be intentional about unplugging. Of course, I work from my phone, so it's really hard to unplug, but my phone is 98% of the time it's on silent. And then I can always get back to people, and I have little pockets that I'll work my day throughout. So if we're on the road, that's typically what our day looks like. And just being present with the kids, because I know if I'm in my phone, it's hard to shut it off. So those are my personal hacks that I love to do. And I think if you guys have tips, we'd love to hear them. We're always trying to like make things more simple and just easy for on the go with the kids, because there's 5 of us and there's a lot. And I always feel like we have all this, kind of like Deb had her Mary Poppins bag. We always have all this stuff, but it all gets eaten and it all gets, all gets taken, but it's just, it'd be easier. It'd be nice to figure out like a more like mainstream, and I'm sure there's easier ways to, you know, fine tune it, but we're learning as we go.
I love that. So many, I like literally wrote notes because I always learn from you ladies. And Deb, I'm going to get that book, God is My CEO. That's like on my list now. And I felt so bad I didn't have any props, and Deb had all these props. So I ran while you guys were talking, and I got some of my props. I realized like these are always in my purse too. Always in my purse. Now these are my AM, PM vitamins, ladies. These are not for kids. This is for you, for your nutrition, for your mind, so that your body and mama has to be well or nobody else is well. And sometimes we're the last person that we take care of. And that's just the honest truth. And I think we've all been there and struggled with that at times. So this is my life hack for travel. I used to be the girl that had 20 vitamin bottles trying to get on the airplane because I would travel with all my supplements. And then our amazing company came out with these. So this is my Omega. I have my vitamin C. I have my multi. I have this is vitamin D3, resveratrol, and CoQ10. And I also have something here called Isogenesis, this is the DNA healthy aging supported antioxidant blend. And I take one in the AM and one in the PM. So if I'm packing a suitcase or in my purse, even if it's just for like an overnight trip, I always have these, and they're so easy to like not forget. And then I always travel with my kids' isovitamins, and they think these are candy. So sometimes if I know we're going to go on a road trip, and I usually give them to them in the morning with their shake and their breakfast. But if I know that we might have a long ride, I will save them in my purse, and then I will pass them out as little treats in the car to munch on, because my 3-year-old especially, like he thinks they're candy. He would eat a whole jar. Obviously, I don't let him do that, but it's something that keeps him like busy. And then I'm with Deb, like, I don't know how you ladies survive without these. I'm just going to be honest. Like, this is like where it's at. Like, I don't know what people do. I literally like can't imagine my life without e-shots, but it's a great alternative to coffee. Drinking coffee on the go is very expensive. You're exposing yourself to so many toxins and pollutants when you pull through a drive-through to get a coffee, or you get airport coffee. It is full of junk and pesticides, and they found fungus and like all sorts of gross stuff in coffee on the go. And so you don't need it. It doesn't mean you have to give up coffee totally, but when you're out and about, this is less than a cup of coffee, and it has adaptogenic herbs that impact your brain chemistry. You don't crash. It doesn't upset your stomach, and it has nutrients in it. So I'm a huge believer in that, and I just love what you girls shared. So thank you for that.
I'm going to piggyback off of that. The e-shots have been a game changer for my husband too. So those are something my husband was like Britt would say, like, pull off, get a cup of coffee. He's primarily the driver because I don't like driving the trailer. I don't like towing it. So I'll be the navigator and the storyteller. I keep him entertained. And the e-shots are a game changer when we're traveling. Those are what he actually will request me to order a bunch more if we know we're going to be on the road a lot, because it doesn't give him the crash. It doesn't give him the jitters, and it just makes him feel good. And so for me too, that's what I always typically use. But I love being able to share it with the husband too.
I love it.
I love that so much. And then just a fun, I'm like such a fan of fun facts, you guys. 30% of Americans gain weight when they travel. So, we say all of this because I think it's important, no matter how you travel, where you travel, how often you travel. There's some of you that are listening that travel a lot, and some that are very infrequent but want to travel more. And I think it's important to note that it is a matter of convenience at times when you travel, but by planning ahead and by coming up with being very deliberate about the healthy options that you're presented with, and there again, it comes down to emotional, physical, and chemical health. You don't need to be that statistic. You don't need to be one of the 30% that comes back from vacation having gained 5 pounds, and then all of a sudden needing to do something about it and having sort of the emotional stress that comes along with that. So, okay, I do have a question, and this is totally unrelated, but related to something that Becca said. I think that we should have a vote, you guys. I'm getting fired up about this question, obviously, because I'm like knocking over my phone here, but Okay, so this fanny pack for the kids idea is like, it's completely rocking my world. I'm going out and I'm doing this. I do have a question though, and it's because I wear one of these and I've been made fun of recently. Is it a fanny pack or is it a belt bag?
My kids love calling them their fanny packs. I don't know what the actual term is, but the Easter Bunny brought it to them a little bit ago, and they're just obsessed with them. It has like a little private like a little satchel on the inside, so it's protected, so you can put more private, like cash or something. But I don't know. They love saying fanny. It's like they get a kick out of it, so we call it fanny pack.
I love it.
On this train, I am so stuck in I grew up in the 80s, and my dad wore a leather fanny pack my whole childhood, and I was mortified by it, and I can't get over that image. So I really need to like do some tapping NLP and release that and get on the fanny pack train. I see people wear them and they're so cute and they're so functional.
They have really cute ones now too.
What is my block about the fanny pack? But I would call it a fanny pack too. I feel like if you're gonna rock it, you gotta call it a fanny pack. So I love that tip, Becca. And my kids have like their own backpacks of toys, and like they're like little hoarders. They want to bring all their toys when they come places. And then I just do one snack bag. But I love how you are encouraging them to be self-sufficient. And two of my kids are absolutely old enough to do that, and I'm still like packing their snacks. So you really inspired me to like take it to the next level and make sure that they're being responsible with that and packing their own snacks. I think that's great.
Well, and they love it because it's like they get to be part of it. And I don't know, I know your girls would love it because they get to just own it, and they get to determine what goes in their pack based on the options you give them. So
I love that. I don't know why I'm always just like, get in the car, I have the snacks. Go.
And I think something really valid that maybe we kind of
talk about this. This is amazing. You guys, look at this. You're getting a live fashion show.
Oh, I need one of those ones. Mine's not that cute.
Hold on, Deb. We need to capture this. Okay.
Yeah, we gotta pick this.
It's gonna be a little boomerang on. Okay, ready, Deb?
Okay, I'm ready. You guys, this is my new travel pack, and I'm going to call it my belt bag, and I'll tell you why, because that's what Gucci and Louis Vuitton and Hermes are calling it. Now, here's the great thing about this. Little did we know, it kind of goes with my outfit today too, oddly, doesn't it?
It does.
Here's the other great thing about this. I got this. This is Rebecca Minkoff. I think I got it on sale for like $30 or something like that at Saks Off Fifth. But the way that I actually wear it, the girls had no idea we're doing a fashion show today.
I'm putting this on Instagram. I hope you don't mind.
Okay, so I have to adjust it a little bit to make it longer, but I actually carry it so that it goes right over my sort of torso area. That way you've got easy access. Now, I've said this before, but we ride our scooters. We live in the city, and so we ride our scooters everywhere we go, pretty much around the city. So it's great because you're hands-free. And then to your point, though, now I'm going to do what Becca says, and I'm going to have the kids pack their own snacks and get them one of those. I think it's so brilliant.
It's so good.
Awesome.
I love it.
And I think another point just for you guys to take away is I think a lot of people think this is so overwhelming, like the pre-planning, all of that. But a lot of complaints that I know I personally get, I know you girls get it too, is that people think eating healthy and having more of a holistic lifestyle is expensive. Let me tell you that when you're on the road or you're traveling via airplane or international, across the states, wherever you're going, if you are not prepared with your own snacks from home, you're going to spend probably close to 4 or 5 times as much. And so to say that it's more expensive to eat healthy and be prepared, it takes more time, it takes more organization. But once you kind of get your rhythm down, it's totally worth it. And then the cost effective wise, you're spending a fraction less. And I'm not saying we never eat out when we're on the road, because that'd be a flat out lie. We do eat out on the road. But like Britt said, my kids have never been to McDonald's. They've never gone to any fast food restaurant aside from In-N-Out. And they just don't, they actually think a little local place is called McPhee's. It's a really nice, really upscale restaurant. And my kids think McDonald's is McD's. They think it's McPhee's, which is a really nice place. So my kids just haven't been there because I didn't really want them to know about that place. I didn't want them to have that mentality of like, this is where we eat when we're on the road. And this is where, an easy place to eat, because it makes you feel like crap. And I just don't want them to get in that mindset. So that's something I just really think people should, if it's not if you think it's expensive to do what we're doing, it's not. It's just being prepared. You're paying basically your groceries up front and you're being organized, but you're saving a fortune when you're on the road. So.
I love that. And it's less stressful, guys, because when you're prepared, it's there. You're not having to jump off or to run over or stand in line or get out of the car and make another stop or whatever it is you're doing. You're just prepared. So I really encourage you guys to take the tips we shared today. And like we say every week, just implement one or two things that might be different for you. And then as you master that, then you can move on to the next thing. So I love all the tips you guys shared. Thank you so much, ladies.
Thank you.
Yes, and Deb, thank you for your fashion show. That was brilliant and beautiful. I love it. And we will see you guys next time. So thanks for being on. And we will be posting this recording up on our YouTube page. You can just search it at Choose Your Life Now, and you can see all of our pre-recorded ones. And I know, Becca, you have them up on yours as well, right?
So does Deb.
And so does Deb. So you're going to find us all over the internet. It's great. So we love you guys. Thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you guys soon.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye, guys.